Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the grey. Today, we've got another video in our Start Collecting series, a series where we look at the various Start Collecting boxes for Warhammer Age of Sigmar and give you an idea on how those Start Collecting boxes can actually help you start an army for the faction they are for. We'll also look into how you can expand this army in the future and look at a few different models and units and pieces of GW models, etc. that you can use to create a great new and fun army. So today we will be looking at the Start Collecting box for the Daemons of Slaanesh. Slaanesh is the god of excess, the god of depravity, and the god of just lust. Everything about this army is over the top, just this driven nature for more. And that's all what Slaanesh is about. There are some stereotypes that Slaanesh sort of fits with, but the idea of excess is so much more than just these basic stereotypes that some people go with Slaanesh. And I've seen so many great examples of how you can do this in many different ways. Excess is excess, regardless of what it is excess of. And that is what Slaanesh is the god of. So let's look into what we get in this Start Collecting box. And first of all, we're going to look at the big model at the back, because that's actually our hero kit within this box. We'll be using it to create a Bladebringer Herald of Exalted Chariot. So that's the model I strongly suggest building with this kit. There are many other options. You can build Heralds on Seeker Chariots, Bladebringers, Heralds on a Hellflayer, Exalted Chariots, Hellflayers, or Seeker Chariots. There's a lot of different options you can build with this, but definitely the one I suggest building is the Bladebringer Herald on Exalted Chariot. That's the one you've got pictured here. This model is a great sort of combat unit and loves doing mortal wounds and charging about the battlefield, and really is a nice sort of starting centerpiece for your army. It's got a lot of different parts to it, and I really do suggest you build this model in sub-assemblies before painting. So definitely build it so you can take it apart while you're painting is a very big suggestion with this model. There's a lot of fiddly little bits where you really need to get in there, and it gets really hard when the model's already built. So it's got some cool abilities, so where it can charge in and do some mortal wounds on the charge. It's also a wizard, which is also cool, so that'll go into some of the stuff we're talking about later. But for the most part, it's a great starting centerpiece, and chariots are a really great unit inside Slaanesh. We'll then start looking at our troops, and our first lot of troops here we have are Daemonettes. These are the men, ladies, Daemons on foot that we have to the left there. You get 10 of them inside the box, and they are pretty much your basic troop for a Slaanesh army. They can run and charge, which is a really cool ability and really helps them with their, I guess they are a little bit slow with base movement of 6, so being able to run and charge means you can up that and get them into combat much quicker, which is where everything in Slaanesh really wants to be. This army excels in combat, and you really want to get it there as quick as possible, and rules like this help you do that. So we've got a great unit there. The other unit inside the box is a unit known as Seekers of Slaanesh. Seekers are your Daemon-mounted cavalry, so you can also get humans on top of the cavalry as well, but then you can't get that inside this box. This box is only the Daemon variation. And they're another cool unit where they can you can roll 2d6 instead of a single d6 when they run, so they're extra quick at running. And you can add attacks to them in the next combat phase if they manage to do some damage as well, which is really cool. They've got a bunch of different cool abilities. They're decent enough. Movement 14 is like no slouch of a movement, and like the fact they can run as well, and you can in the Slaanesh book you can get some run and charge abilities on them. So they really become like a really, really fast unit in the game. But all in all, I really do think this is a great Start Collecting box. You could actually purchase this Start Collecting box a couple more times and build a couple different variations of the chariot at the back while bolstering your troops in the army, which is great for a Start Collecting box. The fact this Start Collecting box, you could probably purchase this 2, 3, 4 times and you'd still get use out of this box, which is fantastic. Like, that's what you want. The fact you can just purchase this box at a nice, cheaper, discounted price and over again is great. But where do we go once we're sort of done building this box, or you get bored of building and painting the same models again. So let's have a look at some different pieces. The first stuff I want to mention though is Slaanesh does have a terrain piece, which is the Thane of Slaanesh. It's a really cool sort of terrain piece. It works well with the summoning that your army can bring, because you get summoning points back if you summon near it. You can also have your heroes sort of sacrifice artifacts to it to get some abilities as well. The spells of Slaanesh, the endless spells of Slaanesh, are quite fantastic. I see a lot of them, especially the wheels and the mirror in a lot of Slaanesh armies going around. They'll do a bunch of really cool different effects and sort of play around with how your opponent has to move around the table. It really makes them think about choices they're making on the table, which is great. So all of them are really cool. I definitely suggest you can probably pick them up both pretty early, because the Thane is just good to have. And the endless spells, you've already got a wizard inside your start collecting box, so we're off to a good start there. The next unit I want to talk about, and this is more so, I guess, for just being a fantastic model and something different to paint up, is the Infernal and Rapturous. You can see her here with the harp, and yes, that harp is made out of a person. It's so grotesque, but beautifully made. It's just amazing model. It is really one of my favorite models they've brought out in recent times, and probably close to my favorite Slaanesh model, actually, I reckon. But for that, you get some cool little abilities with her. She's also a hero, and she's got some very different things. So she can shoot her attack as well. She's actually got shooting, which is quite different for Slaanesh. So you've got a hero with some decent shooting. It's nothing fantastic. She's got 6 shots with it though, so it could be used to do a few splash wounds here and there, get rid of a couple of wounds off a model that's still standing around. You can attempt to dispel with her as if she was a wizard. She's not a wizard, so she can't offensively cast spells, but she can defensively work as a wizard. And she also gives you some free depravity points, and depravity points are what you need for summoning with Slaanesh. Really cool model to add to your army. The next unit I want to talk about are the Fiends of Slaanesh, and this once again is just because at this point you might have bought the Start Collecting box a couple of times and be painting the same things up again, especially if you're trying to build up some stuff to be able to summon. Fiends are just a cool model to have something different to work on. They're sort of like an elite heavy hitting sort of pseudo monstrous infantry unit, and they really do hit like a truck. They've got some quite cool abilities and are quite devastating in combat, so they're another great unit to add to your force. The next thing I want to talk about though is the Contorted Epitome. So this is a fantastic model. To start off with, it's a great looking hero. These 2 sort of Daemonette heroes holding up this giant mirror, and it's just fantastic. I mean, you can reroll casting, unbinding, and dispelling rolls for the model, which is all really good. It's a wizard. It has some really great defense against mortal wounds. So I believe it has a 2+ save against any mortal wounds that it takes, which is just fantastic, which means people are going to need to get nice and close or shoot it off the table. And it's a hero, so it's -1 to hit, thanks to the Lookout Sir. It's a great model and a great piece. I haven't seen a Slaanesh army without one in a long time. But aside from all the tabletop stuff, it's just a fantastic model to to paint and to put together. So definitely something I recommend buying. The last thing I recommend for Slaanesh is, of course, Keeper of Secrets. Now, most Slaanesh armies you see going around on the tabletop do have multiple Keepers of Secrets at the moment. These are your real heavy hitters in the army. The other Daemonettes do have lots of attacks and generally can deal with most threats, but you need your Keepers to get rid of the big threats. What's also cool about Slaanesh is that you've got a lot of models you've got a lot of ways to get depravity points really quick in the army, so you can summon up more Keepers of Secrets, which is amazing. You should always have Keepers on the table because you've got so many depravity points and summoning points. Keepers are a fantastic model. There's also a character version known as Shalaxi Hellbane, and so she's another cool thing you can do if you have multiple Keepers. But I mean, with any army that's a Chaos Daemon focused army, you would be nowhere without having the Greater Daemon in the army. So it's definitely a model I suggest getting. And it's also an absolutely fantastic looking model. All the modern Slaanesh sculpts that they've added to the army are just simply stunning to me. They're definitely one of the nicest looking armies they've brought out in a long time. But that's all from me today. don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I hope this has been helpful for anyone looking to get the Star Collecting Box and start up the army. Also in the description you'll find a link to our Discord server. You can jump on the Discord and chat with all the people there in the community, and me as well. I'm in there most of the time at the moment. Unfortunately out of work at the moment, so that's why all the videos are coming out at the moment. But they'll continue to come out regardless. Most of all, guys, just stay safe, stay well, and keep fighting that war against the Grey. I'll see you all again real soon. Ciao for now.